From NBC News World Headquarters in New York, this is NBC Nightly News with Brian Williams.
Good evening. An apparent leak from inside the Pentagon has revealed what appear to be the three possible options for the U.S. in Iraq. They have already become the stuff of military shorthand. Go big, go long, or go home. All three options have dramatically different meanings, and all three were part of a once-secret internal study aimed at fixing a tough U.S. position in an increasingly brutal military stalemate. And there is already a leading candidate, apparently, among the three. We begin here tonight with NBC's Jim Miklaszewski at the Pentagon. And Jim, these should not be confused, correct, with that study group going on, really handling the same assignment.
That's right, Brian. This is part of a separate military study. And while there are no formal recommendations coming out of this group, they are kicking around a number of options, not to win the war, but to bring U.S. troops home. Faced with the brutal reality that the current Iraq war plan is just not working, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Peter Pace, ordered a group of 16 military officers to examine all options. As outlined first by the Washington Post, the options reportedly include go big, a large increase in U.S. forces to try to bring down the level of violence, rejected by senior military officials who say that could take several 100,000 more troops, and the military's already stretched too thin. Go home, the rapid withdrawal of American forces, rejected because it could ignite a full-blown civil war. The most viable option, go long, a compromise that would temporarily increase the U.S. force by 20 to 30,000 troops to try to quell the violence, then gradually reduce the total force from 140,000 troops now to 60,000 who could remain in Iraq for 5 to 10 years. Military experts contend even a temporary increase in troops will not change the course of the war.
I think the notion of bubbling up 20 to 40,000 U.S. forces to demonstrate our political will before we begin the drawdown is nonsense.
Instead, planning is already underway to accelerate the training and equipping of Iraqi forces and double the number of American trainers with Iraqi battalions from 12 to 25, so those Iraqi forces can fight their own war. Whatever the option, Henry Kissinger, Secretary of State during Vietnam, and an advisor President Bush says Iraq is not winnable.
I don't believe that it's possible.
And ultimately, it appears there are no good U.S. military options in Iraq.
The real question is, will we have the courage to admit that we've made a mistake and begin to cut our losses, or will we continue to lose this war slowly?
And tonight, senior Pentagon and military officials aren't putting much stock in these specific three options laid out publicly, saying that if that's the best we can do, we're in big trouble. Brian.
Jim Miklaszewski at the Pentagon for us tonight, and there is a